Hey guys, what's up? Alex here. Now, I am just thinking the lighting in this room at the moment is horrible, so I gotta just look at that one, and I've just, this is bad. Here we go. But I was just thinking, I was like, man, for me, being a perfectionist doesn't mean that I'm perfect or I get everything to the T, but it actually means that I can be lazy or be a procrastinator in the sense that I delay and put off things like, oh, it's got to be perfect. It has to be, I have to portray this thing. And I was like, man, this room is not, lit well. Anyway, so I'm doing it from my room. Got my cup of tea here, but I wanted to just document some of my progress and the process that I'm going through at the moment of transformation, or my evolution. We're evolving, we're adapting, we're growing, we're transforming. And I was just thinking just then, to document yourself is, I don't know if it's narcissistic, but it can definitely come across as self-absorbed. Everyone makes videos these days. Everyone's kind of offering advice. Everyone's, putting out content. And whereas, 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, more so, you're a specialist, you're, a doctor, you kind of had a degree or a couple of degrees, masters or PhD in a field. And so I guess, even if we go back 100 years, you really had to go through a lot of hoops to get into a place of authority to speak on a topic. And I'm not saying that's good. I'm not saying that's bad. It's good that we've got an open field of, the internet. We've got forums. We've got all sorts of things where people can share that information. I think that broadly speaking, that's a good thing. But I'm just aware that there's a lot of things out there and a lot of content. So I just wanted to document, I guess, some of my journey. And I guess for me, I want to just dive into, how do you even start? I think the biggest thing is critical thinking. I want to be serious about this for a second, is critically thinking. I'm not saying being critical in the sense of just being critical. But what I mean is you're actually, when someone is saying something or you're arguing with you or debating or putting forth a point, often we aren't necessarily in our logical, rational, prefrontal cortex brains deciphering what they're saying. We're not really thinking actively about what they're saying. We are accepting the story, we are enjoying the moment, we are listening to the experience, we're looking at our feelings. Can we resonate with what they're saying? Does this connect with me? It's an emotional thing. And I'm not saying that's bad or good. That's just often the time what we can focus on. TED Talks, whatever. It's an experience, we go along, whatever you think, conference, we get amped up, we get hyped for the next season, we get the energy, yeah, I can do this. And so whatever field you're in, to actually critically think through what someone is claiming. And I won't get into it in full detail, but a lot of people can infer things that has no correlation. And you can look online and Google that, what I mean, but just because someone says, oh, blah, 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 this and that, and they attribute that this must be true, or, it's because of this, or no, my experience is 100% true. Well, there's no way to verify that scientifically. So you're like, oh, okay, I believe this person, they, it seemed like a good person. So I think if there's one thing I could have done earlier in my high school years, and, my parents didn't teach me this, I didn't get taught this. Different people have different emphases on different sides of education, but is to do a critical thinking course, or at least be aware of critical thinking. And within critical thinking is the biases at play that we hold, and I can hold. And we all are having biases all the time. And that can be confirmation bias. We can see patterns. We see patterns in the world. We can see things that we want to see, and we attribute meaning. We see, things happen time and again, and we then can attribute that to good luck or bad luck. It could be superstitious belief. It could be anything, but it could be a range of things. And so then when you dial in on that, you look at the biases that we have. One bias I was looking at recently was in-group, out-group bias. And this can be religious belief, this can be spiritual belief, this can be any belief, education, whatever you think. Does this person smoke? Oh, are they cool? Do they wear the clothes I have? Do they like the music I like? Whatever. We go to a different group, there's always going to be unfamiliarity. And we're always going to seek familiarity. We're always going to want to find people like us, that look like us. We want to marry people who look like us. We want to be around people that are familiar, because that's safe. That is, in an ancestral way or in a primitive way, that is safe. What is known is safe. It's more of a sure thing, especially when you talk about it in an evolutionary biological way, or a biology way, in terms of reproduction. So that's a major player in terms of survival. Again, what am I saying? I'm just saying that I wish that I knew a lot of these things. And this didn't always just come through audiobooks. It didn't just come through what I was listening to. This came through a bit of uni, a bit of books. But I just want to encourage you guys is that you don't get taken for a ride with anything. Relationships, dating, anything. We often date for certain reasons, a certain motif or emotions, or we feel bad. And within that is the attachment that comes from your childhood, or childhood attachment. So look that up, look into that. And I'm just sharing that because really I wish that I knew how all these things interacted with my beliefs and conscious decisions daily, and why I did what I did, and why I did, made the decisions that I did. And you can only look back now and go, okay, that's why. So I just want to encourage you with this video, guys. Critical thinking, look at your biases, look at attachment theory, look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Again, you want to self-actualize. If you want to become the person you were created to be, or you could be the ultimate version of you, whoever that is, whatever that's sports or whatever your capacity is in whatever field. If you're not eating properly, or if you, whatever. So you got to look at the basic needs. And if you're not getting those met, you need to get those met, and children and teenagers will go outside the nest, go outside the home to get those needs met. Whether they're unhealthy or dysfunctional or, unsafe ways, it's up to you to judge. But these are all contributing factors to our society. We are having kids and children and teenagers that are not having their needs, psychological needs met. Basic psychological needs, we've got safety and basic biological needs, but just, sense of belonging in the home, feeling significant, they're not getting their love tank filled up at home. So where do you think they're going to go for that? They sit on their Xbox, or they sit on their iPad, and they sit on their, group chat, and they get the significance from there. They're not getting it from their home or their parents, unfortunately. So this is something you need to realize. Maybe it's common sense to you. Maybe that's basic. Maybe that's, of course. But oftentimes that's not really actually demonstrated or applied within the family dynamic or the home. Okay, and so within that, you've got a lot of other things that could branch out, but that's just something that I wanted to share with you guys, because that's something I didn't really know. Maybe it was intuitive, but I didn't really know it in the sense of it being scientific, and I didn't really know about it in the sense of my actual daily interactions with myself, others. And it's just really something that caused me, the lack of that knowledge caused me a lot of pain, a lot of stupidity, even though I was seeking wisdom at the time, a lot of stupid errors that could have easily been corrected had I known those principles. And another big thing would be you got to look at fallacies, okay? People that make claims or say this or that, anything, whatever field or whatever it is, there's a lot of fallacies out there, and you can Google all the fallacy list, but you need to be aware of this stuff. Whether you're buying a home, whatever it is, a sales guy's trying to say something, someone's trying to, pitch something to you, whatever area of life it is, it's going to apply. I'm gonna be straight to the point here as well. You need to research, and again, I'm not trying to say this as if I've mastered it or I'm, up here and you're here. I'm on my journey. I'm just sharing from my experience. I'm not above you, but I just want to share this other thing is there's the dark triad right now. Everyone's probably seen it to a degree, but Machiavellianism is one of those things, and that's kind of tied in with narcissism and sociopathy and psychopathy or psychopath, So you need to know this stuff. Why? Because you need to be aware of how others manipulate, how you manipulate. We all do it to a degree to get our needs met, how in our communication style and our communication pattern, in our politeness, we are nuanced in the way that we, speak to people. We then have emotional inner mechanisms that defend ourselves. We might do a stonewalling. We might, not speak to that person for a little bit. We all have these emotional responses to regulate. And so, again, I'm just touching the surface here, but these are all things that I think if I had someone in my life that I loved and I said, I want the best for your life. I just really want you to go out there into the world, be successful, but you need to know some of these things. You need to know how people in the world emotionally manipulate, and you need to understand the psychology of these people that are malicious, or the people that want to do harm intentionally, that want to, do the wrong thing by you, you know, whatever it is. It might be macro, it might be micro. And then being aware of those traits in you that might be really little or might be massive that you have to manage. And I'm not saying suppress them, but you have to, you know, be honest and be accountable to someone about that and say, hey, I'm struggling with this anger issue, I'm struggling with this, or, you know, I have this grandiose idea of self, I have a grandiose vision of what my life could be, and I want to dominate and conquer and I want to take, but that's not what life's about. And again, it's saying, how do I give? Yes, we need to receive and people give to us, but life's not all about taking and just ripping people off or just consuming. How do I give? How do I partake? How do I participate? How do I partner with, you know, the life that I've been given, and how do I help people if I can and where I can? Minimal in small ways. Maybe it's in very controlled ways. In a specific context. So anyway, I'm rambling on, but what I encourage you guys with this stuff is that you continue to search for Veritas, for Veritas, truth. No matter if you don't like it, no matter if you don't agree with it, even if it's not palatable for you, truth is truth. And I want to encourage you to even go to that scientific level of a scientific approach. I'm not necessarily saying science as a field, but I'm saying the scientific approach of discovering and looking at literature and history and other fields and using a scientific method, because we've all got biases, we've all got a lens, we've all got I've got a how would you put it, a preference. I want to see the world this way, I've got my ideas, I'm holding on to it. But if you let go and say, I'm going to try to find the truth, and I'm going to try to overcome those biases, then that's a great way to start. So guys, I just hope this video encourages you. There's a lot I could share, but these are just some of the basic kind of cores. And yeah, I just hope that on your journey, you don't discover those things late, and that you can start to investigate those things now. God bless, guys. Hope this blessed someone, and I hope that you're well.